I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 18, Journaling. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the show. I am sure glad that you're here, and I'm going to go ahead and dive in. It is the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States. I know many of my listeners do not live in the United States, but here, this is a holiday week, and so I'm going to record this. It might be a little bit shorter than usual, but I want to share something with you that I think will be useful to you. It's about journaling. So I have always been a fairly consistent journaler. I go, like many of us, I'll go for a while, do really well, and then I'll have times where I'm not. But I recently was going through some boxes from my childhood, and I found a journal from when I was 8, and it's really funny to read. And then I wrote a lot in my teenage years, and I have stacks of journals. I have quite a few: early young adulthood, early marriage, being a mom, all of that. So I have quite a few journals, and I'm really grateful that I have them. Now, it's a little bit cringy to read some of my journals from like middle school, for example, where they're all about boys pretty much. I mean, let's be honest, even in high school and even in college, lots of stuff about boys. I was kind of boy crazy. But I also wrote a lot about my faith, about my belief, about spiritual experiences I had. And it's nice to go back and to read and to remember where I was at different times of my life. I'm grateful that I have those things. But today, I know probably most of you have heard about journaling and how important it is and things like that. Today, I want to talk about some things that maybe you haven't considered that have been very, very helpful and even crucial for me. So hear me out, okay? So over time, my journal has evolved. It has become a witness to my life. Like, I was here, I mattered, my experiences mattered, my experiences were real. And I'm going to get a little more specific with that later. But first, let's talk about the actual psychology of journaling. Mina Murray says journaling is like whispering to oneself and listening at the same time. I love that, and that very much has been my experience. You're like writing it down, getting it out of your brain, and then you can see it on paper, and it is a shift. It looks different on paper than it does in your brain. And then it's like you can learn from yourself at the same time. So 5 scientific facts about journaling, I found these from intermountainhealthcare.org, are that, number 1, journaling reduces stress. Journaling can be a form of meditation. I love thinking about it in that way. You're slowing your brain down. You're slowing to get what's in your head down on paper. You're breathing. Did you know that journaling can reduce your blood pressure and improve your liver function? Isn't that cool? Studies showed that people who journaled for at least 15 minutes a day over a 4-month period had better numbers in tests that they took for blood pressure, stress levels, things like that. Number 2, it improves your immune function. So when you think about it, slowing down and bringing down blood pressure and bringing down your stress levels allows your body to heal like it's supposed to. So it makes sense that it would improve your immune function. Journaling is also proven to help wounded people, like physically wounded people, heal faster. I also think it helps emotionally wounded people to heal faster, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Number 3, it helps with memory function by boosting memory and comprehension skills. Makes sense, right? What we write down, we remember better. So getting it out of our head and onto paper helps us remember things better. So we're going to have this reference point to go, oh yeah, that thing, I remember that, and it'll help bring some of those memories to life that we otherwise might have forgotten. Comprehension as well. Number 4, it boosts your mood and your overall sense of well-being and happiness. Number 5, strengthens emotional functions, becoming more in tune with your inner needs and desires. It's a way to get to know yourself better. It allows emotional catharsis and being present in the moment. You are present, you're doing something, you're using multiple senses, you're writing on paper, you are feeling the pen in your hand, you're slowing down enough to write, right? Writing is much slower than thinking. Our thoughts are so fast, right? Writing forces you to slow down. You're slowing down. It's helping your brain regulate emotions. It's creating the space to push the pause button before reacting to circumstances. It's creating space for you. So as you've heard on this podcast, and something that I help my clients with all the time, is that when we've gone through an emotionally challenging situation, many of us kind of hang out in this like fight or flight space. We're highly reactive, highly like on edge, just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. So often what happens is that we don't respond in a way that we want to. It's kind of like we're on guard, and so we sense any kind of danger, and out come the claws, out comes the reaction. And what journaling can do is it can create that little bit of space between your thought, your feeling, and your reaction. I personally have found this true so many times. Like something will happen like with one of my kids, and I'll just be so bugged, so annoyed, and I'll want to respond in a certain way. And sometimes if I can give myself a little time out and go get out my notebook, and I'll just write it down. This is what happened, and then write down my feelings about it. And even writing it, I can feel a shift. And I can even hear my wiser self going, no, that's not quite how it happened. Are you sure you want to handle it that way? I'm giving myself a pause and space to think before I react, to think from my higher brain and who I actually want to be. Okay. So that number 5 about strengthening emotional functions is the thing that I want to focus on the most. There are many, many studies about how journaling helps people who are recovering from trauma and emotional upheaval. Journaling allows you to see things through a different lens. One thing that has helped me is that I can go back for years, and I've been able to spot thought patterns that are reoccurring over time. It's like I can put that lens on of looking for thoughts that maybe are wreaking havoc for me, and I can find that they go way back. They go way back. One thought pattern that I have seen since a long time, is I tend to be really hard on myself. I tend to have a real negative Nelly, you did it wrong, you're going to mess it up type thing that pops up sometimes. And I've done a lot of work around it. And so it's gotten much, much better, but I can spot that pattern has been there for a long time. What's helpful about that is then I can see, oh gosh, that's not real. It's just a thought pattern. It's been there all these years, so no wonder it doesn't die off easy, right? I've had to do work. It's taken me work to change it, but I can easily spot it because of my journaling. Another thing that has been absolutely crucial for me is this, okay? When I was going through divorce, a friend gave me this suggestion that I write down my insights and my personal revelations to me. Now, you might call it something else. I call it personal revelation. It's like when I am just going about my day and it's like a light bulb goes on and I get information that just pops into my head. Or when I am praying and I feel some kind of thought come in. I had a lot of these kinds of moments when I was deciding if I was going to get divorced or not. And this friend said, write them down. In my journal, I have a tab in my journal that's called Personal Revelation. It's the name of my tab. And I, to this day, love going back and reading that because although at the time it was just this really difficult time, I can go back and go, I know what I know. And even when I was, for example, how many of you have had an experience that you think you will never forget, that will never lose its weight of how important it was for you? And even the next day, it's like, wait a minute, am I sure that happened? Did it really go that way? Am I still sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I struggled with that. I remember really struggling with, should I just go ahead and patch my family back up and have them come back? And are you sure? Like, should I just questioned myself so much. And so I could go back to those personal revelations when I knew, even if I couldn't feel that in the moment, I could go back to when I did and learn from myself and get strength from myself. Isn't that awesome? Like learning from my own wisdom when I needed that reminder. And so to this day, I still do that. I write things down. I go back and remember, like, that's right. I forgot about that. That was really, really important. And I'm so grateful that I have that. So like I said, some of you might call it personal revelation. Some of you might call it just inspiration. Call it what you will. But I believe that we all are wise beings who, like the essence of who we really are, that we have access to so much wisdom and truth and light and inspiration, that we all have access to that. And I encourage you to write down when you have those glimpses of like who you are and what you're capable of, write it down. When you have glimpses of your future and the kind of life that you're going to have, that you are going to go through some hard things for. Hard things meaning being able to be bold and have tough conversations and those things. Like write it down, and you'll be able to go back and thank yourself for it later. Another thing that I have in my journal is a grateful tab. I have a tab that reminds my brain of what I do have rather than what I don't. And I go in there and I write down the things that I'm grateful for. And you know what? There's some days that I don't want to. I'm like, no, really, not feeling it. And then I slow down and I think and I write it down. And the amazing thing is that my brain shifts to actually looking for the things that I'm going to write. So I go throughout my day going, oh, I should write about that. No, I should write about that, because I just feel so abundantly blessed. And I love that I have this place in my journal to write those things down. It helps me just kind of shift my focus. It's not minimizing your pain. It's not sugarcoating your pain. It's just kind of reminding your brain, not all is lost. There's still a lot of good here. I can keep moving forward. So like I said before, there's a lot of studies about how writing and journaling can be a form of meditation and a form of trauma healing. And there actually have been books written about this. There's a book by James Pennebaker and John Evans. It's called Expressive Writing, Words That Heal. I encourage you to go grab that book. It asks lots of great questions. I own it. Lots of great questions to go in and really look inside and answer questions that will help you to expand, to grow, to see things a little bit differently. And when done over time, this becomes very healing. And it becomes a habit that you want to keep doing. Another thing that I love about journaling is using journaling to be really intentional about future events. I'm going to give you a couple examples, okay? Just last week, I taught a webinar. So it was like a class online. And quite a few people had registered for it. And I was a little bit nervous. And I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go. And so before I got on the call, I got my pen and notebook and I wrote down, as if it was done, how I would know that it was a win. And it was very internal, not external, meaning it wasn't a win because this many people said, you did a great job. I learned so much from you. No, it was a win because I decided my criteria of what would make it a win that were not externally based. So did I show up? Did I smile? Was I kind? Was I loving? Was I enthusiastic? Did I challenge them? Did I show up as a leader, as an expert? Those are the questions that I can be in control of. And so I got off that and I could say to myself, yeah, I won that. The way that I wrote it was as if it was done. So I just led this call. It was great. This is how I showed up. This is how I led the call. And I just talked about it as if it was done. Another example recently is from my son. I have a son who's 22, and he had a conversation coming up with some people he cares about that he knew would be really difficult, and he was pretty afraid of it. And so I helped him. I took him through a process where he journaled and wrote down how it would be a win for him no matter what the outcome. And for him, his win was that he not get defensive no matter what the other people dished out, that he was not going to be defensive. And if he could walk away from that conversation knowing that he did not get defensive, then it was a win. And guess what? He did it. He called me later, and it was a tough conversation. It was hard. And he won that conversation for himself because he decided that his win was not being defensive. So we can be very intentional in our journaling. We can start the day by deciding how our day is going to go. When this happens, I'm going to do this, anticipating things ahead of time. When I feel tempted to ... I will ... right? So this is a very powerful practice. It's one that I love and that has been so helpful to me and so helpful to my clients of getting clear beforehand. One more example. I think I maybe have mentioned this before, but I have clients that have meetings, like some of my clients who, if their spouse left them, for example, left the marriage, or if they've decided to end the marriage, they have mediations, they have court hearings, things like that. And so this is something that I use journaling for with my clients, is having them journal before the event happens, how it's going to go for them. Now, we can't ever journal about we can't control other people, but the best way we can control other people, if we could, is by showing up at our best, showing up very intentionally. This is how it's going to go. This is how I'm going to show up. That is the best way we can control outcomes, is by being the best versions of ourselves, because other people around us have no choice but to butt up against that. It puts heat on, it puts pressure on to level up. And so getting really intentional yourself with how you want to be in certain situations is very, very powerful. So again, when done over time, journaling can become quite a healing practice. It can become a time where you check in with yourself, where you slow down, where you see where you're at and what you need. As far as journaling prompts go, you can ask yourself questions like, what do I need most right now? That's one that I love. If I could think anything, what would I think? If I could create whatever life I want, what would I create? Just asking yourself good questions. You can even go online and look for journaling prompts. Questions about your past. There's lots of great prompts online. Just go Google it, journaling prompts. And there's so many, sometimes writing personal history, writing down your experiences. Sometimes we can draw a blank, right? So you can go look for questions like, when is the first time that you, whatever, right? ... Writing it down. So you can use the resources online. And you know what? Your brain is fabulous and you can come up with good questions yourself. I personally love the one, what do I need most right now? Because it's like opening the door to be kind and compassionate to myself and hearing myself. Sometimes it's, I really need a nap. Sometimes it's, I really need to believe that ... And I'll know what I need to believe in. Sometimes it's, I know that I need to set down this belief. Or I need to give more time to my kids so I can feel more connected. I need to feel more connected with my kids. Sometimes it's, I need to feel connected to my husband. I need time outside, whatever it is, but you're slowing down your brain long enough to get those answers and then hopefully going and acting on them, right? Okay, that's all for today. I encourage you right away, go get a journal. If you don't have one, go get one. If you have one, use it. It doesn't need to be fancy. I have plenty that are 3-ring notebooks, not fancy at all. The point is to use it, to get out of your head and onto paper and taking that time for yourself. You matter. Your life matters. Your time on this earth matters. And go be a witness of your own life in your journal. I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com lies-about-infidelity /. I will see you next time.